exactly. He didn't even mention the female singer he was working with. I think her name was like Lala Brown or something like that, who died.
Oh wow,
That's
I
what
didn't even know about that.
I was really watching that episode to see his thoughts about that, but
Mm,
I'm just like, but I'm gonna save that. But anyway,
yeah.
what's good, everybody? Welcome to a different kind of thoughts on the TV one. This time we're doing the uncensored. I'm going to actually film the Lyfe Jennings one and whatnot, but I personally wanted to talk about this one too, and pretty much try to feel like watch talking about the Lyfe Jennings one either like that.
I mean, I can talk about it. Just that I don't know his music like that. I'm only
Yeah,
going off of like what I know of him, like his background. So
same. So I think like all last week, people were publicizing this episode because, of course, it's Jaleel White, who you
right.
guys should know as Steve Urkel from Family Matters. He voiced Sonic the Hedgehog too. You know what I'm saying? Or if you guys know him now, he has his own weed brand and shit. So yeah, Jaleel White has his own weed brand, but
Wow.
to all the glory. But so he did. So if you guys don't know what Uncensored is, pretty much it's like a modernized first person narrative of Unsung, but with like known people. Like you have people like Lisa Ray. I want to say Faith Evans did it Uncensored. I know this season Teddy Riley did it Uncensored.
Oh wow.
He was talking about a guy. This season Kim did it Uncensored, Martian Brochures,
Mm,
and next week too. Well, tomorrow is going to be the DMX Uncensored, which I want to also give my thoughts about that one, and I'm going to send that to you too ASAP.
okay.
But yeah, Jaleel White. For those who don't know who he is an actor. You know, born in Culver City, California. You know, he started his career like in entertainment at the age of 3. His first television role was like in the Jeffersons. Well, when this was like after he did a few commercial appearances. You know, with the of course with the Jello pudding pops. You know, with Bill Cosby. More on that later. And so he did a guest role in the Jeffersons. It was like in a late. I remember the episode too. It was like I think like the last season when him and Jessica Lionel and Jenny's daughter they were doing like a piano showdown or some shit like that. Yeah, yeah. It was like a later season episode of Jeffersons and shit. So yeah. Originally he was supposed to have played Rudy from the Cosby Show and stuff like that. Just because initially Rudy was supposed to have been played by a boy.
Right.
However, you know, Keisha Knight Pullum, not only did she impress Bill Cosby, but Bill Cosby wants to mirror his family into television and stuff like that too. And I never knew that Bill Cosby mentored Jaleel White. I never
Right.
knew that.
Me neither.
And it kind of makes sense too because, you know, of course he was going to be on the Cosby show and whatnot. And then you guys should also know that he was on, and I hate to say it, the Cosby show ripoff, Charlie and Company.
Hmm.
I hate to say it, but it
I
was
never
pretty.
saw that.
Yeah, it was it only ran for like one season. It had Flip Wilson.
Okay.
It had Gladys Knight. She played the
Oh wow.
wife. Christoph St. John, who you guys should know as
Wow.
Neil from Young and Restless. Rest
Soap
in
opera
peace.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was I think that was both Christoph's, and ironically, Christoph was also on the episode of the Cosby Show. He played
Right. Denise
Denise's
boyfriend. Right.
boyfriend. Yeah, with the different socks and shit.
Classic episode.
Yeah, I love that episode.
Hmm.
Yeah, rest in peace, Christoph St.
Yeah.
John. By the way, but yeah, he did mention that he had like a falling out with Cosby. He didn't really go in depth with what the falling out was, but yeah, go figure. And so he said that he's serving like the right punishment, whatever. And you guys should also know too. This wasn't even mentioned, but he was on the pilot episode also of Good Morning Miss Bliss, which you guys should know that was the precursor to Saved by the Bell and stuff too. But this was like a pilot that was not really shown on TV.
Yeah. I
So
never saw it.
yeah, I saw a glimpse
Hmm.
like on YouTube once. I never really. I'm not a big fan of the Good Morning Miss Bliss era and shit. But anyway,
Who's Miss Bliss? Was she a teacher at Saved by the Bell?
yeah, like she was like if you remember like in Saved by the Bell, some episodes they would go
Hmm.
back to like when they were like in junior high
Hmm.
with Screech and Lisa, and then they had these two other kids.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah,
Oh.
it was like a precursor to Saved by the Bell, but it
Hmm.
was canceled on the Disney Channel,
Oh wow.
and then NBC bought the rights to the show, and the
Mm.
rest is history.
Right.
Yeah, and so fast forward to 1989. His big break came when he what was supposed to have been like a one-time guest appearance as Steve Urkel, and he mentioned something interesting because the fact that he said that for one, the vehicle for Family Matters was kind of interesting because originally it was supposed to be spun off by Harriet, Joan Marie
Right.
Payton, Joan Marie Noble, whatever her last name is during the show. Um, that was supposed to be her because she was a character from Perfect Strangers.
Right.
Um, One of your favorite shows too.
Yeah.
I'm just recently getting into the show too,
Hmm.
so yeah, I find it funny.
Yeah.
So she was supposed to be like the elevator operator or whatever.
Yeah.
Her character was popular. Then Reginald Ville Johnson, he was, at that time he was on Die Hard.
Die Hard. Right.
Yeah, he
He
was the
played a
cop
cop
that
on Die
shot.
Hard.
Yeah, he
Hmm.
shot the kid
Hmm.
and shit. Always playing a cop in movies and shit. Always playing a cop or something.
Right.
And then you had, of course, Thelma Hopkins, who he said that she had like the longest resume because niggas should know she was on Tony Orlando and Dawn,
Hmm.
like a pop group from the '70s, and
Yeah.
then she was on Give Me a Break,
Yeah.
one of my least favorite shows, but I pretty much only watched it for Nell Carter and her.
Right.
So,
For no. Yeah.
yeah, and he also mentioned that Family Matters was kind of like written by Jewish men and stuff like that too. So it was
Hmm.
just like kind of interesting because a lot of black sitcoms was written like by like white people at times. So
Right.
which I'm gonna mention Good Times in a minute. And so his one appearance was supposed to have been like on the episode when I think like Laura was supposed to have gone out on a date with somebody
Yeah.
for prom or not prom, like a school dance,
Hmm.
and Carl wanted to hook her up with Steve Urkel
Right.
and stuff like that. And so, and I read this, that at the end of that episode, he stole the show that the crowd was chanting Urkel, Urkel, Urkel,
Hmm.
and so they brought him back with certain episodes. Some episodes they had to like redo like the cold open, and in syndication they added Steve Urkel in like those syndicated cold opens
Right.
and stuff like that too. And it's kind of interesting too because those original cold opens from the Family Matters episode, it has not been shown since like it was originally aired, like since in 89, 90 when the season was ran and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I recently saw those on YouTube too. If I find those, I'm gonna send it
Right.
to you too.
Okay.
And so he did mention a couple of things interesting about the Family Matters, like how he said that I think originally when he first came on, certain members of the cast was like jealous of his popularity because originally it was supposed to be like the middle class or the blue collar Cosby show, but then
Hmm.
Urkel came in the picture and it slowly became like the Steve Urkel show
Right.
and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But he always wanted to show his respect to like, the older cast members because of the fact that he felt like when it came to Kelly Cheyenne Williams, Darius McCrary, Jamie Foxworth, who played like the kids respectively,
Hmm.
he felt like they were like persuaded by the older cast members or just the people in the working environment too
Right.
that he was just taking over the show and whatnot. And it's kind of interesting too because I also want to mention like the Myrtle character,
Hmm.
how he was crying because of the fact that he had to wear a dress. And with this whole notion how black men, like with the whole Jamie Foxx's,
Right.
Martin Lawrence, and of course the Tyler Perry's
Right.
wearing a dress and stuff like that. And it's kind of sickening because of the fact that they said that he didn't want to wear the dress no more. He was crying, but then I know seasons later they brought back the Myrtle character too. So it was just
Hmm.
like interesting. I don't know, but
Right.
and what else? What else? Like he talks about how he felt like the show didn't get the proper due respect, like
Right.
compared to like other black sitcoms, like the Martins,
Hmm.
the Fresh Princess, the Living Singles, and even like there was a recent interview he did where he said that he wasn't even allowed to come to the Emmys for some reason and shit
That's
like that.
crazy.
Yeah, because black actors that time, like even like I would say it's like 70s, even up to now, they
Mm-hmm.
still have like now it's more respectful now when it comes to TV, but back in those days, like they weren't getting a lot of respect. Like look at the shit that Gary Coleman
Right.
went through with Different Strokes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Red Fox, he literally left San Francisco Sunday. He came back because of contract issues, and there was no windows in his dressing rooms. Um, who else? Hell, even when Richard Pryor was in NBC too,
Right.
when he his sketch show and stuff like that too. So, and then he mentioned Michelle Thomas. Rest in peace to Michelle Thomas, who played Myra.
Right.
Unpopular opinion: I've always been more of a Myra fan than a Laura fan.
Right.
Unpopular opinion, but fuck it. Yeah, man. And her character was like the female Urkel, and he saw like Michelle Thomas as like an older sister and whatnot. Because I think at that time she was, dating Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Right.
Because she was also on the Cosby Show too.
Mm-hmm.
She played
Mm-hmm.
Justine,
Yeah.
and ironically, bringing up Young and Restless, she was also at that time for death on the Young and Restless too. Before she died, and he mentioned how in the later years, I think the last couple of years, they were going through like a lot of issues because Family Matters went over to CBS.
Right.
Because Miller Bonnet and CBS had like a falling out, and what? No, not CBS, ABC had a falling out because around that time ABC and Disney was partnering up, and Miller Boyette kind of felt like left out in a way. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a long story with that one. And he mentioned how like Michelle Thomas like had to work as a waitress at a certain time because of the fact that she was trying to get like more adult roles
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. And shout out to Celebrity Underrated, that YouTube channel I keep mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
because they did like a dope video of Michelle Thomas about a couple months ago too. So shout out to him.
Right.
And Michelle Thomas, of course, she passed away in '98. I think like late '98 because she had like
Yeah.
stomach cancer.
Yeah. It was like Christmas time. I remember.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like very very sad and stuff like that. Rest in peace to Michelle Thomas. I've always felt she was very underrated actress.
Yeah.
Very underrated. Even she appeared on the Drew Hill video "Never Make a Promise."
Mm-hmm.
Even the acting she did on that, like if
Right.
I have to talk about the acting on a music video, then that's saying something and shit. Because these days, females in music videos or people, they just models,
Mm-hmm.
they're just showing
Right.
out and
They
stuff
just
like that.
deal.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. And so it's kind of crazy too. It's kind of crazy too because out of everything Jaleel White has done, he personally feels like he doesn't really see himself as being typecast because he feels like he has more to give
Right.
and whatnot. And also shout out to Comedy Hype too because they did a video on Jaleel White too
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that too because they mentioned this Denzel Washington quote which I can't remember on top of my head, but yeah. But other than that, I felt like it was a very good uncensored. Like I don't really watch too many uncensored episodes, but this was like
Mm-hmm.
one of the few I would definitely rewatch once in a while and stuff like that too. So, what did you
Right.
think of the episode?
I thought it was great. I think that's out of, and I've seen Jaleel White over the years in different interviews, and I felt like this interview, he let it all out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, and he seemed more focused than he was. He seemed more mature, and I guess that's because of like he is a dad now. He has a little daughter named Belle. You know, he named her after the Disney character.
yeah,
And I like I he addressed a lot of things that I only heard rumors about. And back then we didn't have the internet, so a lot of this stuff was shocking to me. Like, but as soon as he like the opening in the beginning of the show where he's talking about like there was jealousy on the set, I didn't know all of that was going on. And
yeah,
that would explain a lot. Like that probably had something to do with him not getting a spinoff for Urkel. I always thought he should have had a spinoff because that would have been one of the best spinoffs ever.
uh,
And the Cosby Show thing was the most shocking because it all makes sense now because when I used to watch the Cosby Show and I used to always say why does Rudy have a boy name? You know what I'm saying? That like was that like a nickname for her? Like what was her real name? And it all makes sense. He was supposed to be Rudy, but she ended up getting the part. And I think it worked out from. I mean, because at that time they both were on air at the same time, so he lucked out, being Urkel and taking over that show. And you know, the ABC and the network, you gotta, they're the, for the most part, they're to blame for a lot of that stuff going on with, telling, telling Reginald that he's gonna be the star, and then telling Marie that she's gonna be the star, and then the girl that played Thelma, she gonna be the star. You know what I'm saying? So they all going into this show thinking like I'm gonna be the star of the show, and as luck would have it, the real star turned out to be the kid. And um like that's what everybody saw the show for. Like, let's be real about that. We didn't tune in every Friday night TGIF ABC lineup to watch, Eddie or Lower. We watched it for Urkel and what kind of hilarious stuff and hijinks he was gonna do next. And he is the show to me. Like, without Urkel, that show wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. Like, it ran from like '89 to '98. That show wouldn't have lasted that long without Urkel. And props to him for like taking on the different roles of, he played Elvis, he played Bruce Lee,
Yeah,
Myrtle, he played Myrtle Urkel and Stefan Urkel, and he talked about how when he played Stefan Urkel, like he was gonna break character, which I thought would have been dope for him to actually break character when he was playing Stefan, and um the crowd loved it, and when his pops got mad because um of him wearing the dress, and he said he would never play that character again. And again, like, that was a lot of hate that he got playing that, from the cast, and Reginald and Marie looking at him some type of way, like, oh well, you got to uphold the standards of a black man in this country, and what do you look like wearing the dress? But he probably was getting paid more than them to wear that dress, and maybe that's why they were feeling some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure nobody expect, we all didn't expect that character Urkel to blow up, and once he did, that's when he got the hate. And you know what they say, you know what I'm saying? If you're not, if you're being hated on, then you're doing something right. So that's how I looked at it. And you know he talked about a lot of stuff on here. Like, I like the story where he talked about, like, he realized he was a star when he went to the 1992 NBA All Star game, when Magic played his last game in the league after he announced that he had HIV. And when he got out the limo, all the kids were like shaking the limo, and they
yeah,
had to like bring him through the kitchen, and the guy told him, like, only him, Jordan, and MC Hammer went through that entrance. And I thought that was funny. And he talked about, like, when how the TV producer used his name to get courtside seats to the Lakers games, and he realized, like, he could do the same thing, and he just like started writing letters to, like, Randall Cunningham and Warren Moon and Deion Sanders, all the stars at that time in the NFL. And then all those teams in the NFL end up sending him like care packages in the mail, so that's how he was getting his courtside seats. And he was, he was smart at that time to know, like, yo, like, I'm a star now, like, I could do these things, and I thought it was great. And he talked about his relationship with Cosby, and how he had a falling out, and I'm pretty sure he had that falling out because of what happened with Cosby. And he probably, and like he said in the on the episode, that Cosby was a revered man who made a terrible mistake, and now he's appropriately paying the price for it. And that's probably where he had a disagreement with Cosby. And Cosby probably thought, like, yo, you should be on my side. I mentored you into who you are now. And he was like, nah, I can't roll with what you was doing. He probably seen things in hindsight, not realizing, oh, this is what happened. And that's probably what led to the falling out. But I'm glad that he spoke out about it. You know what I'm saying? And um, it was great. And then he talked about not being paid like a Ted Danson when he was on Cheers, or like a Frazier, or not Frazier, a Seinfeld, when they were probably getting paid more than him, and he was just as funny, if not funnier than them. And I've never heard, you don't hear too many people come out and say it like that. And I give Jaleel his props for doing that, because to me, I always said Urkel needed his own spinoff because he would have been just as funny, if not the funniest guy on TV at that time, with the likes of Frasier and Seinfeld and Everybody Loves Raymond and all that. You know what I mean? So I always thought he was this man was working like 12 to 15 hours, and it was like interfering with with him being in school and all that, and they were underpaying him, and he should have had he should have gotten paid more. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
like the fact that he also talked about how, and I also agree with him because back then, without the internet, that was a beloved show. It's only when I came on social media, like you hear people's thoughts about different albums and different shows and stuff start to shift because of social media, and you hear like our people saying on like from social media, oh well, Family Matters wasn't hood enough, or they were soft, and they didn't really keep it real, but they were the ratings, they had better ratings globally than Martin and some of these other
exactly.
shows, Malcolm and Eddie
Better
and the
ratings
Wayne's
than
brothers, and
Christmas.
and and these shows are great. I watched all of these shows. I love Martin. I never missed Martin on Thursday night on Fox. I never missed Living Single or the Wayne's brothers. But Family Matters was just as great, and they were globally better in ratings than
Martin,
those shows.
and
And
even Fresh Prince
Urkel.
of Bel-Air, they were better in ratings and shit too.
Right. And Urkel, this dude alone brought this show to the top. This show was in the top 50s, and he talked about that. If you were in the 50s or hundreds, you probably was getting canceled. And from the time that he got on the show in 9 episodes, took the show from the 50s to 20s. That's a 30 spot jump because of Urkel. Like they
Exactly.
owe him everything. That show it wouldn't be what it is because if it wasn't for him. You know what I'm saying? And I never understood why all these years later why people like give all this hate for this show. I'm like, a lot of these people grew up on this show. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So now it's like, oh well, I'll fuck with Martin, but I can't fuck with Eddie Winslow and Urkel because they didn't keep it real enough.
you,
We didn't hear that back then.
you know what
You know
I
what I'm
think?
saying?
Yeah,
And it's like they were fortunate to even have black shows on prime time. That wasn't the thing back then. Like if you had your show on prime time, that was a major feat, a major accomplishment. So I don't get the hate many years later why people feel like, oh well, I wasn't watching them, I was watching Martin and Living Single and everybody else. When it's like you all should be happy that we had a black show on prime time, because there's so many of our shows that got canceled and still getting canceled now. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like I don't understand that. And I'm glad that he addressed it the way that he did, because he's not lying. Like everything he said was facts. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is the best interview I've seen Jaleel White ever on any of any interview.
I
You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that he addressed that. He took time away from, he was passing up different jobs and deals to become a father and be a family man, and he had to get his perspectives in order, and it showed a lot of growth and maturity. And he talked about like how, like, when people, like, for the people hitting him up in the comments about his daughter playing Urkel in the reboot is not gonna happen. I didn't even know they were doing a reboot. I hope they don't do a reboot for this,
they
because it's
don't.
not gonna be the same. But I like the fact that he addressed that. Like he want his daughter to grow up and having a normal life, and not having to deal with the shit that he went through as a child actor. So
Yeah, but yeah. To piggyback what you said, man. Well, for one thing, I compare like the jealousy with Jaleel White to like when Good Times,
right.
how allegedly, people want to make it out to see how Eshero and John Amos was jealous of Jimmy Walker's character,
Mm,
even though they didn't like the way how his character was written
right.
and whatnot. And it's funny too because I've seen, and this is one of the things, reason why I kind of want to do a video one day about Family Matters,
Yeah.
because I've seen so many hate for Family Matters over the years because it wasn't as loud or as realistic as Martin and Living Single. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be real. Let's talk about this for one
Mm-hmm.
second. So Family Matters, yes, I'll be the first to say towards maybe the last maybe 3, 4 seasons, they took more of a science fiction approach, emphasis on the inventions. But
Right.
they did more of that in the last maybe 3 seasons. Shit.
Right.
However, one thing about Family Matters that people failed to talk about was the fact that Steve Urkel was a black nerd at that time.
Exactly. Right.
At that time, it was very, well, what's the word I'm looking for? It was very distinctive because
Yeah.
when you think of nerds, let's take shows like, Facts of Life, or let's
Right.
take shows like Happy Days,
Right.
it's always a white, skinny, geeky, or head of the class, and
Mhm.
that honest motherfucker.
Right.
White, skinny, geeky,
Mhm.
cheesy dude. Like, yeah, Steve Urkel, he kind of fitted those attributes, but at the same time, he was very smart. He was
Exactly.
very caring. He was very hardworking. And even anytime he made those little accidents, he always owned up to it.
Mhm.
Always owned up to
Yeah.
it. So it's kind of like how I felt like, with the whole Steve Urkel character, he's supposed to represent, dare I say, like a good, positive role model for the kids
Exactly.
in a way and stuff like that. And, Family Matters as a whole represented, it's supposed to be like the bridgeway between the Huxtables of the Cosby Show and the Banks of Fresh Prince of Bel Air
Right.
and shit too. And I've always felt like, despite how crazy they were with the science fiction, it was very different
Mhm.
because what other black sitcom was doing shit like that,
Right.
entertaining, black sitcoms in the 90s, they were either doing their best, to show like the
Mhm.
realistic lives, but at the same time, once the UPNs and the WBs came out,
Mhm.
they tried to make an emphasis on sometimes like sex jokes and
Right.
cheesy jokes. And this, if you watched like black sitcoms between 84 to 94,
Mhm.
and then between like 95 to maybe 2002, it's going to be a very strike difference.
Right.
But
I feel like some of them were like trying to capitalize on hip hop culture as well.
yes,
You know, put
network
let's put
obligation.
LL in a sitcom. Let's put Malcolm Jamal Warner and Eddie Griffin in the sitcom. You know what I'm saying? The Wayne's brothers, and give them
Yeah,
the Tribe song for the intro, and they knew what they were doing because hip hop was profitable, and a lot of some of those shows didn't last long because of that.
exactly.
That same aspect, and is like the with Fresh Prince is like you had a homeboy from the hood that went to the suburbs to live with his aunt and uncle in a bougie neighborhood, and that worked out. Everybody can't be Will Smith though. Everybody can't be the Fresh Prince. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that would have worked for Family Matters where you bring in Urkel and he's from the hood and he changes into like a nerd or something. That wouldn't have worked.
Yeah,
Urkel as a street thug wouldn't have worked on that show. That show wouldn't have lasted as long as it did.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And his character was like a character that not just white kids but black kids could relate to because they were into science and math. They were into
Right.
you know collecting bugs and making a collection and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people could relate to that. No matter what color you was, and he got a lot of flack for that. And I think like I said, like without him you don't have no show. Like he definitely was the star of the show, and I don't get the hate. I really don't get the hate. Every show it was different, and people just need to just be real about it, and that's what we were tuning in to see. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't get this much flack. They didn't get that flack for on what's the show I'm thinking about the one on CBS with Katie Kukoc.
Big Bang
And
Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Yeah, you Sheldon
Exactly.
was the nerd, right?
Exactly.
Sheldon was the nerd. He was
They
into
were all
comics and all that.
perverts. They were all perverts, but they used
Right.
the whole nerd thing just to be different. Get out of here.
Exactly. They never got no hate. You know what
Never.
I'm saying? So it's cool for a white kid to be into comics and be a nerd, but when the black kid does it, oh, something's wrong. Something's wrong here.
Yeah,
You supposed to be the thug. You know what I mean? You supposed to be smoking weed and drinking, and you're like, nah. That
exactly.
I like the fact that they took a different approach with they show, and even with Cosby, I used to hear hate about Cosby. Oh, Cosby, that wasn't a realistic family, a black family, and I'm like,
Every
so
year,
every
Jordan
black family
Peele's
got to
fun.
have a single parent in the household. They can't have a dad that's doing good. That don't have a whole bunch of baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand that. It's like we want better for ourselves, but at the same time we're the ones that's chastising ourselves as well. I
Exactly.
don't get that.
And you know what? As much as I love sitcoms like Wayans Brothers and Parenthood, Moesha, I'm not gonna lie. Most of those shows were network obligations, and
Right.
what I mean by that, see, when certain stations like, and I'm gonna even throw Fox in it too,
Right.
their initial programming catered to African Americans and Living
Hmm.
Color, Martin, Living Single,
Right.
Moesha, Wayans, so on, Steve Harvey show,
Yeah.
emphasis on hip hop, and then you had the white writers writing some hip hop slang just to appeal to black people, like for
Yeah.
shizzle, nizzle, all that crazy shit. And
Hmm.
then it's just like, like I said, I like them,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's just like, when they got very popular towards like the late '90s, early 2000s,
Right.
and when Fox had to get them X Files and of course American Idol,
Right.
what was the first to go? Bye
Hmm.
bye Blackies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And even
Exactly.
WBUPN. Each year,
Right.
one year Moesha was gone, and
Right.
then fucking Steve Harvey was gone. Then
Hmm.
fucking Jamie Foxx was
Jamie
like,
Foxx. Yep.
it's compared to slavery in a way. Like when Reconstruction happened
Right.
at the end of slavery, it's like white people just sent the blacks, oh, you're free to go, do whatever,
Right.
and stuff like that. And mind you, most of these shows were left on the cliffhanger. Like,
Hmm.
hell, Family Matters
Right.
was supposed to have gone on for another season
Yeah.
with Stephen Laura allegedly getting married.
Right.
Moesha, Miles got kidnapped.
Hmm.
Moesha allegedly got pregnant. The Hugleys, D.L. Hughley's character, I
Hmm.
think she got like another child out of some crazy shit, man.
Right.
I've never even been a huge fan of Hughley, so
Right.
correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's like certain shows, he got, and I hate when certain black sitcoms they always want to throw in, yeah, let's just throw them having a baby, let's throw them being
Right.
married at it as a final episode, let's just write a quickie thing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm being perfectly honest about how certain black sitcoms are. That's why I'm glad like we have shows these days like Atlanta,
Right.
Blackish.
Hmm.
Black people actually write in their own material,
Exactly.
having black
Exactly.
writers.
And
Heck, even
a
Insecure.
positive show, not like a hood show.
Yeah,
It's a positive show that black our own people want to see, and we're not getting typecasted.
exactly.
Because that we've seen that for too long, especially like with the hood films in the '90s. There was too many
Oh
hood
my
films,
fucking god.
too many. It typecasting the same type of actors and actresses for those films, and
That
and
same that same square headed motherfucker that does that weird ass walking.
mm-hmm,
Come on, man.
yep, you know what I mean, and those are the shows that were like good. Family Matters was a great show, and it was a positive show, and I don't get the hate for it many years later. I really don't,
I
because
really,
it wouldn't have lasted as a hood show.
you know what
On ABC, on prime time, they was not gonna have no hood show on ABC on prime time.
next to Full House and
Right,
what's that other Step by Step? Come
step by
on.
step, exactly. Yep.
But you know what
Yep.
other black show is underrated that no
Hmm.
one really gives its proper due to?
Right.
What's Happening?
I love that show.
The first
Love
black
that show.
sitcom,
Right.
first black teen sitcom, excuse me.
Right. And
Way
again, and
before we
they were in Chicago, right? And they wasn't gang
watched.
banging. Watts, they were in Watts. They wasn't gang banging. It was a positive show.
Yeah, but then I like Moesha,
Right.
but at the same time, sometimes when I watch Moesha, I sometimes figure if I'm watching a soap opera or not because they put so much emphasis, and I
Hmm.
like Moesha. They put so much emphasis on the drama. Like,
Right.
not a lot of black teens go through this shit.
Yeah.
First of all, what kind of girl named Moesha? Even Brandy hated the name.
It's
Even
crazy.
Brandy hated the Moesha name and stuff like that.
Moesha.
That's why I like the Parkers, but then I kind of prefer the Parkers over Moesha because,
Yeah.
yeah, the Parkers had its moments where it was like
Hmm.
sex jokes and cheesiness, but
Hmm.
a single black woman going back to community college and whatnot.
Right.
Not a lot of people gave credit to that show for that.
Right. True. True.
Even though I hated the finale, but we're gonna get to that one day. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much talking about the black sitcoms and shit because
Right.
I feel like this was a very good episode, okay?
Yeah. This was great, and Like he addressed everything that I wanted to hear, and it was great. It explained a lot. So I'm like, man, that was a great episode, and um, he's not just Urkel. Like this man has a name, and people should address him by his name now, and not just look at him like, yo, that's Urkel, and you
Exactly.
know, yo,
Exactly, man. Because it's funny too because you have plenty of actors who are typecasted in the same roles, play the
mm-hmm,
same roles every time,
right,
yet
mm-hmm,
they get the same movies. Jaleel White should be in movies.
exactly.
He should be in
He
movies.
should, he
I
should,
don't care. He's one of the best physical comedians, actors I've ever seen on
right,
television. I'm being
yeah.
100% honest.
And he said like just going through those prepping for those different characters, that was like him in training, like learning how to act.
Eh,
and
right.
and it worked. You know what I'm saying? And he should have been in more movies and more TV shows, and even now he still can do it. Like you know,
And I'm going to say one more thing before
hmm
I end off this video.
yeah,
I find it, I've been thinking about this lately, how certain actors who like to cross dress, like you have the Robin Williams
hmm
and the Dennis Hoffmans who did Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie respectively.
right,
Dope movies, I'm not gonna lie.
hmm
But at the same time, it's just that whenever you see a black man in dress, it's like, oh, you're a discredit to your race. How
right,
come white guys don't get that?
exactly,
How come white
exactly.
guys don't get that
hmm
discredit to their race and shit like
Patrick Swayze to Wong Fu. You know what I'm
that?
saying? Dustin
Marilyn
Hoffman.
Monroe.
Right.
Let's take it back, man.
Yep.
Let's take it back to what's old boy's name? What's old boy's name? White man, dressed up as a female. Damn, I forgot his name. But yeah, y'all motherfuckers
hmm
cherish those motherfuckers. Y'all would publicize the DVDs. Y'all put them as American
Right.
icons and shit like that. But when
Yep.
when Flip Wilson did Geraldine, when hell, I don't even throw Tyler Perry into Medea. I
Right.
feel like Medea should be American icon at this fucking point because
Right.
most white people are buying the movies and shit.
That's
But
crazy. The Rocky Horror Pictures. There was like a whole bunch of
oh,
men dressed up.
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just a transvestite.
And
Come on,
right, and there's a cult following for that film, and I never understood why. I don't care for the film. I'm like, is it a horror film? What the hell is it?
Mike Myers dressed up as a female
Right,
in SNL.
exactly.
Um, who I can think about
Yeah,
plenty of white
there's a
actors.
lot.
Why? But then they're considered
hmm
grand. But
Right.
then you have fucking. Even though I hate this movie,
hmm
um, what's his name? Ving Rhames and Holiday Heart
hmm
and shit like that. But then y'all so quick
hmm
to talk about oh black man should not
Right.
wear a dress. Well, if the black man shouldn't wear a dress, then the white
hmm
man shouldn't wear a dress.
Exactly.
And if
Exactly.
you are gonna wear a dress, you should be wearing you should be prepared to what people say about your masculinity and you should
Right.
be able to defend your masculinity. Now I would never wear a dress.
Right.
I would never
Right.
wear a dress.
That seems to be a thing now. Kid Cudi wearing dresses and shit. So I don't know.
The whole Kid Cudi thing is first of all, Kurt Cobain, that was not a dress Kurt Cobain wore.
Right. That
That's all
wasn't a
I
dress.
gotta say.
hmm
If you're
I
gonna
don't.
pay
I don't
homage
get
to
that.
the man, pay homage right. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Again, I just thought it was hate that he was getting from his cast members because he was the show, and
Mm.
they felt so they were in their feelings, and that's what they were thinking. But I didn't see nothing wrong with them playing. I mean, he played different characters. Eddie Murphy played different characters as well. Why he didn't get that type of hate?
Believe it or not, hell, even Eddie Murphy got hate when he did Norbit.
Oh, did he? When he did
Yeah.
like the clumps and all that?
Well, with the Nutty Professor, everyone kept saying Hercules, Hercules,
Right.
Hercules. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right. And that was a successful movie.
the
The first two.
intellectual blacks had an issue with that movie.
Right. I thought both of those films are great. You know what I'm saying? And he played females in those films. I
Shit,
didn't
I would
hear
rather watch
nothing.
Nutty Professor over Doctor Doolittle.
Exactly.
And I'm not even a fan of
So
movies like that.
right. And I don't. I just that's how I took it. I just thought it was like hateful, a lot of hate because he was a star, and I'm pretty sure if he went through that, I'm pretty sure there's other people that went through similar things when they were the stars of their own show. I'm pretty sure Michael J. Fox went through that when because he was the star
He
of
did.
Family Towers.
Um,
So
initially, Meredith Baxter didn't like the fact that Michael J. Fox used to come late because he was shooting all them movies and
Right,
shit.
Teen Wolf and Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she had no issue with Michael J. Fox in general. It's
Mm,
just how the people crave to his star
yeah.
power.
Yeah.
So one time, I think she and Michael Groves, the dude who played the dad, came in handcuffs
Oh
and
wow.
stuff like that. It's talking about with tools or it's
Mm,
something in her book she mentioned in an interview and stuff.
wow.
But I
Yeah.
feel like with white shows, they
Mm,
handle that better compared
right.
to black shows
Yeah.
and stuff because Fonzie, Henry Winkler's character in Happy Days.
Right.
Y'all know the story. Him and
Mm-hmm.
Ron Howard are still cool to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now look at what happened with Fred Berry when he played Rerun.
Mm.
He got kicked out of the show not once but twice when they did the What's Happening Now in the
Right.
'80s and shit too.
That's
Janet
crazy.
Hubert
Mm-hmm.
allegedly, we all know the true story
On
now,
Viv.
but
Yeah.
allegedly she was jealous of Will Smith.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I can go on and on and shit.
Mm-hmm. We do it to ourselves. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like
can never be
sometimes you can't always blame the white man. We do it to
Isaiah
ourselves.
Washington from Great. Look at the shit Isaiah
Right.
Washington.
Right. Right. I remember it on was it Greg's Anatomy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy, man.
Who else? Who else? Jesus, I can think of a lot of people and shit. Lisa Bonet,
Mm-hmm.
she and Cosby went at it a lot.
Right.
But yeah, man,
Crazy.
for real, man. That's why when niggas, that's why if I'm at a sitcom, if I'm at a movie,
Mm-hmm.
let's say I'm a lead actor and there's
Right.
like a breakout character,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make sure one thing: my character is not dumbed down to make the breakout character look good,
Look good. Right.
and I will still get paid. I would know my fucking part.
Right.
They would know their fucking part.
True.
Cause like, yeah, man. Hell, even Shelley Long was jealous of Kelsey Grammer.
Mm-hmm.
Niggas forget about that.
Right.
Yeah, miss. I swear. B.
That's
Arthur.
Hollywood,
B.
man.
Arthur was allegedly didn't like Betty White.
Wow.
She said Betty White was too nice.
And then she the last one left. The nice one. The nice golden girl is the last one left.
Shit.
She has the last laugh. You know? That's
Ain't she about to
crazy.
be 100 this year?
I think so. I
Jesus
think.
Christ.
She been around for a long time.
Right.
The
Hell,
last one left is the nice one.
Lucille Ball was originally jealous of Vivian Vance.
Right. Wow.
She thought Vivian Vance looked more attractive to her. That's why they made Ethel more frumpy and old looking.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh man.
But it's your show. How are you jealous of the co-star? I don't understand.
That's that's what I'm
That
saying.
makes no sense.
But you know what? But you know what Lucy did?
Mm.
Invited Vivian Vance back to all her other shows and shit.
Right. Right. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. That's
Mm.
crazy.
Heck, you ain't never hear Damon Wilson being jealous of Red Fox and shit.
Mm. Right.
You ain't never hear Sherman Hemsley being jealous of Marla Gibbs.
Right.
Because they knew their fucking part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I want to say about the
Yeah.
Jaleel White
It's
episode and
I
shit.
like I like these episodes when it's like so much history and backstory
Yeah,
and this stuff. I'm like, this was a good episode.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, man. Very, 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 very good episode. I'm
Yeah.
probably just gonna quick record this Lyfe Jennings episode. Um,
I want to still talk about it though.
you do?
Yeah, cause I saw it anyway. I'm like, why not just talk about it? I mean, I don't know his albums. I just only know the
Yeah,
songs.
yeah. Just say
Yeah,
what you think of.
yeah,
Yeah, just say what you think, cause
yeah,
so you just want to continue off with this
yeah,
video?
yeah.
Okay. So with the Lyfe Jennings episode, for those who don't know who Lyfe Jennings is, picture Bone Thugs and Harmony. No, no, I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
Mm,
Picture Bone Thugs and Harmony mixed with Music Soul Child, trying to embody Donny
okay.
Hathaway.
Oh
Um,
Lord.
you know, I'm not like the biggest fan, but that's just he was a singer originally. He began going through legal issues and whatnot, and so he was in prison when he was 14, and he served about 10 years in prison. And while he was in prison, he fell in love with music and whatnot, and so he was trying to like shoot his demo. Please listen to my demo, EPMD style. Um, and I'm not being funny. That's how it was. That's how every time I think of a demo, like please, I think of that EPMD song. Please listen to my
Mm.
demo. Please, please,
Right.
please, please listen to my demo. That's my shit though.
Oh
Um,
man.
so he did this whole Showtime in at Harlem, which was like the understudy of Showtime at the Apollo, pretty much. I'm just gonna call
Right.
it Showtime at the Apollo because that's pretty much what it was. And then
Mm.
he had the balls to do his original recording. And with Showtime at the Apollo, if you do like any original music, they're automatically gonna boo you just because they were petty as fuck
Right.
and stuff. Like that either they booed you for original music or if you were singing
Mm.
with the Vandross and shit.
Yep.
Um, and so he came out with like two albums between 2004 and 2006. The Life 268192, which was like his cellmate number and shit like that, and the Phoenix, which those albums didn't really sell too well and whatnot. Um, and so he was working on another album. However, he got into some issues where he was locked up again and stuff like that, and pretty much I think it was like he fired shots. He led the police to a high speed chase, and then he crashed his Corvette. And he had to serve like I think he served like about 3.5 years in prison.
Right.
Things like that. And it's kind of sad too, because when he said when he went back to prison, it felt like he never left. It was like, damn,
Yeah.
man. It's kind of sad, when black men think like that
Yeah.
sometimes. I'm not
He
gonna
got
lie.
because he been it. There's a lot of them like when they go to prison, they stay there so long, they start feeling like it's normal, and they
Yeah,
can't break out of that mentality.
exactly. And, yeah, man. And so like when he left prison, he had to like restart his life and whatnot. He started doing shows again. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I'm not like too knowledgeable about his music, and
Hmm.
I personally found his unsung. I'm gonna be real, kind of boring
Right.
because there was one thing he didn't really mention, and it
Hmm.
was like him working with this artist with Lala Jones.
Hmm.
And for those who don't know who Lala Jones is, if you remember the songs SEX, think that song right there, the
Oh.
girl singing the Lala
Hmm.
Brown, excuse me, the girl singing the chorus, that was her.
Right.
And she was supposed to have had like a career, but she ended up being killed.
Oh wow.
However, I think her and her boyfriend or whatnot, and the case to this day remains unsolved.
Wow.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And ironically, the TV One show Celebrity Crime Files, they did an episode based off that shit too. So I just probably want to know like the music relationship with how he felt
Right.
or whatnot, but I kind of found this episode kind of boring
Hmm.
a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but what did you think?
Um, I remember like I remember when he came out years ago, and how they said he was locked up for a number of years, and he started doing music, and I think this all goes back to his pops being killed in the bar fight, because
Yeah,
he was like 4 or 5 years old, and that'll have an effect on you,
right.
growing up, and him being like from the hood, and succumbing to like the temptations to sell drugs and crime, and I think he without his dad being there, like he it was easier for him to be influenced by those things and get into the with the wrong crowd, and his mother was always working, and she had was doing it on her own, and he had other siblings, and that's a typical thing that happens, with a single parent household, and you know him going to jail and writing songs, and that was like his release. Like, some when they go to jail, they work out or they read, and he was writing songs, and working on his craft, and he got a big break with Apollo, and came on there, and I used to watch those Showtime with the Apollos and how the crowd is, and debut anybody. So for him to like win like four in a row, that was like a big feat for him. And he got the deal and you know brought a different side to R&B that was needed at that time with his real life stories and he wasn't on no R. Kelly shit or trying to dance. He was just bringing like real life situations to his music, and I think that was good because a lot of artists don't do that. And he got that one big hit that took off, and he got into some money and started splurging and buying things, and he
Nigga
hit it off
rich.
with his manager and had kids with his manager or whatever, and he had some ups and downs, like um he had some ups and downs in his career, and he cheated on his woman, on his shorty with another woman, and had a kid with the other woman. He got like 6 kids, so I'm assuming he got 6 kids with different baby mamas. And
That's pretty good sperm count.
and I mean, like he takes care of his kids, and that's something that we don't see in his, even sadly still in this day and age, we don't see a lot of that going on. But he's there for his kids, and I salute him for that. And but he made mistakes. He went back to jail, after like he got drunk and went over to his woman's cousin's house, and allegedly he had like a fight with her or something, or he assaulted her, and I think him going back to jail, he learned his lesson, and he came back out and toured, and got his money, his rep out there again, when a lot of labels didn't want to touch him after that whole ordeal. And he talked about the sex song, and like I think, well, like one of the females in the show, on the episode itself, like he was using that for attention, because I mean, at the same time, he never did like a sex song or nothing like that. But I just thought like the lyrics in that slave song, for these times, it wasn't appropriate, and that's why he got the backlash that he got. And I love the video with the women, nice women, is they were pretty to look at. But like the whole, he could have did it. He could have had a different title for his song, because we know his songs about like bondage and S&M. But like, to just call it slave was like, that's just the wrong thing to do in this day and age. It just be like how we was talking about like Justin Bieber having the title Justice for his new album. It's not it wasn't the smartest thing to do. But he's a dope singer. I never listened to none of his albums. I felt like he needed, like, he didn't really have no features or no, like, big name producers on his projects. So I think that's probably what, like, his downfall. But he definitely could sing. And he didn't mention being on Love and Hip Hop. I didn't understand that either, unless he's embarrassed to talk about it, or I don't know, maybe he's like
I would be.
contractually, huh?
I would be.
maybe maybe he's contractually like he can't talk about it because it's VH1 or whatever. But he's been on there for a couple seasons, and he got a biopic that he's directing his own self, and put his own money into his own story, which is dope. He's telling his own story the way that he wants to. And I mean, I think he's been slept on too, and maybe it's because he didn't talk about love and all that stuff and relationships. He just talked about real life situations, life threatening situations for him, and but I feel like he's been slept on as an artist, and he probably, I don't think we've seen like his best stuff yet. I think he needs to like work, have some features, and collaborate with some big name producers. And I think I don't know, for some reason I don't feel like we've seen his best work yet. And I
You
could
know,
be
I,
wrong.
I agree with you.
That might have been his best work for all I could be wrong. That might have been his best work, but I feel like he never got the chance to really collaborate with the big name artists like everybody else has. Everybody else has worked with big name artists, and he hasn't really. And maybe that was by his own choosing. Maybe he decided not to do that, and not to go after the Pharrell or Timberland or whoever for the hottest track. But I think for I think like if you're not producing your own stuff and you're not working with those big name features on your albums, like you're gonna get slept on. And we've seen it a lot with a lot of different artists in the past. They got slept on because of that. But I think he could sing. I think he's a dope singer, but he just never got that big shining, which is why he's on Unsung because he didn't get that big shine.
Yeah, man. I personally feel like he never reaches. I
Yeah,
mean, he never really reached his potential. I feel like he had more to offer
right.
in a weird way too. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what? Maybe one day he might just surprise us all and might just
Yeah,
do something with a big name artist, or he might
right,
just come out with something that might just knock everyone off their foot,
right.
the
He
feet.
he might need to do a album like what's going on. He might need to do an album like that because he's been through situations already. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody that if there's anybody that can speak about real life situations and how the world is, I think it would be him.
Yeah,
He might need that type of album to do, like a concept album. You
yeah,
know,
man. As long as people support that shit too.
right? Yeah,
But yeah, man. I'm just gonna like just edit it off right here because I
yeah,
feel like we just talked about everything we needed to talk about.
yeah.
Overall, these were definitely some recommendable episodes.
Mm,
Stay tuned next week on we going to talk about the Jones Girls and the DMX last interview. Can't wait to talk about those.
yeah,
So appreciate this, bro. Thank you so
yeah. No doubt.
much.
Thanks.
I will see y'all later.
All
Peace.
right. Peace out.